Crushers, I'm excited to be bringing you a new and updated PvP tier list to better reflect the meta. Today's video will be covering the top heroes in Crush Them All as of September 2021. Yes, we'll be covering the best of the best, but there will also be some heroes that may surprise you sprinkled in here. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. C tier, B tier, A tier, and ending with our S tier heroes. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you do, be sure to give a shout out. For the sake of this video, I'm assuming all heroes are runed with pretty perfect 5-star runes leveled to 20. That is the assumption used for performance medium by me, as this is where most of my own heroes are built, more or less. Also, necessary disclaimer, this is a list compiled of my own opinions, and it's not a list that is going to make everyone happy. This is not geared at super whales, nor is it aimed strictly at new players. This was kept with the 99% in mind, the average player. We're going to be starting with the heroes I've ranked as C. The first hero we're going to be looking at is Ice Knight. He's admittedly better in guild raid events than he is in PvP. However, for non-Frost Queen Freeze Bomb teams, he is great for extending the freeze duration of your water heroes inflicting freeze, and has good synergy with Trickster. He may be that male Water Knight niche hero that you've been looking for. Next up, we're going to look over the Earth heroes in the C rank. Claudette is the first hero in this rank. She offers some great synergy for poison teams, and her individual DPS is pretty great, but she's an expensive blitz hero and very hard to keep alive with her brawler status. That brings her to where she is on today's list. Next is Lycan, who is a hard-to-get event hero with a similar ailment that Claudette has, but he is better at staying alive. He can boost the DPS of himself and your other heroes, mainly against enemy tanks. Pumpkin is another hard-to-get event hero, but he has an easier time staying alive than the past two heroes given his barbarian status. He also features poison damage by default, and makes him have great synergy for poison teams. And the final Earth hero for us to cover within the C rank is Gruvine. She's easily the most accessible of the heroes we've covered so far. She is the Crusher from the Frostwing Guild raid event. She does single target damage and would be better if we weren't stuck within a meta focusing on Shelly, Gladiator, and Leafblade. If the meta shifts to more water tanks in the future, then she may have more value, but even with the balance changes with the most recent updates, this is still where we should see her, is right about here in C rank, in my opinion. There are only two heroes I've ranked as C that are of the fire element. Magmus is a relatively easy to obtain rare barbarian fire hero with mediocre stats. He's a worst version of Chaos by most accounts. Zac is a good for early game crowd control and late game with an expensive build. He doesn't have a good synergy with Monkey King, who's better at crowd control than Zac. Zac does offer good synergy with TNT, and he's relatively easy to max. For light C-ranked heroes, we've got Siegfried, the king of Smasher heroes. Once upon a time, he was the king of PvP heroes because of his massive HP and Smasher combo. However, with the rise of Dark heroes, he's had a hard time finding a place on most teams. If you run attack range on him and use him as a Smasher, he can still be very solid. The Dark C-ranked heroes offer several pretty solid options, especially for newer players. First, we have Chaos. He is okay early in, and some players love the damage he is capable of bringing to the front line. He's not a route I recommend, but easy enough to rune and get medals for though. Dark Knight has impressive DPS for a frontline hero, and has found some room on dark-centric teams, but there are better in general tanks to use in my opinion. Dragonbot is a good DPS hero for early game players, followed by the final Dark C-rank hero Skeleton Giant, who is widely the first recommended hero to new players to max, as he offers the easiest tank to build option in the game, given his common status and good general stats. You'll outgrow both Dragonbot and Skeleton Giant relatively soon, but they are great stepping stones and deserved a spot on this list. Moving into B-ranked heroes, we'll circle back to our water heroes. First up, we have Aqua, the water brawler. She has some trouble staying alive, but offers great pushback and synergy with other water heroes, like the next hero on our list today, Atlantis, who I personally run and like quite a bit. I rune and run mine as a smasher, and use him to clear the backline heroes of my enemies. I'd go in more detail, but it'd take up all the time we have today. Atlantis is one of my favorite heroes in the game, and I'd rank him higher if I could justify it. He's admittedly a little niche, but I run him anyway. Finally, we have Valkyrie. She is one of the critsters, and while I do like her, she lacks the DPS needed to reach higher on today's list. She is great on freeze teams, and you'll see her in both the Ice Knight and Frost Queen freeze team variants. With Earth heroes, we have Misty. She is one of my personal favorite heroes, and I frequently make room for her on my teams. She offers amazing damage, and I use her as an Atlantis and Aqua Slayer. While most players don't run her, I have a hard time justifying not running her more. For Fire, we're starting with Kasai, and I have to say, the more I use him, the more I love him. I'm the first to admit he isn't easy to rune and isn't easy to use for most teams, but he offers amazing synergy with Scud and Monkey King, and amazing DPS against enemy Gladiator and Leaf Blade tanks. Not stopping there, he also offers the theoretical highest DPS against Ornok. Well-rounded for DPS, I run him quite often depending on my matchup. If his buff was global instead of elemental, then he likely would have been A or even S ranked. Next we have TNT, the Blitz hero. He requires Zac, but that's not a difficult hero to bring along, and you can rune your Zac over time to be helpful. TNT offers amazing fire DPS, especially against earth tanks. A bit expensive, but his DPS justifies this if you like fire heroes. Light heroes in B ranked have Bun Gun, who's your run-of-the-mill light AoE gunner along the lines of Scud, Misty, Parato, and Monkey Mortar. I've seen a couple running around, but I haven't been overly impressed. Mediocre DPS, but a cool blind effect only seen in Ornok elsewhere. Next is Sir Shu, and this little mouse mirrors her Lancer compatriot Atlantis in several aspects, having both anti-stun and the ability to inflict stun. She finds herself occupying the smasher role on some teams. She is difficult to farm, however, as she is an event hero, so even with decent stats, she finds herself scarce for most rosters. Tesla is the other light hero I ranked here, and I know she is amazing, but her runes are just so expensive I can't justify her higher on this list. I've built and pacified mine. She's good, yes, but not that good. Same general issues as Monkey Robati in my opinion. I'll build her again at some point, but maybe not until we get some new dark tanks in the future. Finally, we have Tian Su, an event hero who is good, though difficult to get medals for and difficult to rune. He offers a backline tanking option, but can't replace a true tank. He does offer good synergy for light heroes against dark heroes. He could potentially allow a window to let Siegfried be a tank option again when used with Dark Hunter as well, but I've not seen anyone testing this for verification. Dark has several cool options for B rank. Cersei is a B ranked for PvP, as I have a hard time working her into defensive teams. I wouldn't recommend her for attack teams unless your opponent is running a single tank and you're wanting to play the RNG. Monkey Mortar is another run-of-the-mill AoE gunner. If you're running dark mono teams, then you'll likely get great usage from him. Finally, we have Sorrow, and although her usage drops off at higher levels due to her mainly single target damage output, she is a staple to many early and mid-game players for DPS, and her medals are readily available from her Crusher chest. You won't go wrong in investing time with her as a well-rounded DPS option. Moving into the A-ranked heroes, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to comment, like, and subscribe if you've not already done so. Your contributions in doing these three things helps my channel grow and it helps more players. Now first up, we have Ice Cube, as he earns a spot in the A ranks. Despite being relatively difficult to farm his medals, he's got decent base stats and offers the best water tank option in the game at this time. I do dislike his 4-star ability, and if it were better, he'd likely be S rank instead of A rank to me. And then finally we have Ice Queen for water heroes. And while she can be absolutely amazing in the right teams, she does require exactly that, the right teams. She does not have synergy with Trickster, who is arguably one of the most important PvP heroes in the game, and that loses her quite a few points in my book. She also doesn't have synergy with Ice Knight, who would otherwise be the best tank choice for her, leaving the only solid option being Ice Cube for water tanks at this time. Her freeze bombs have been covered in our Heroes Magnified video, so if you haven't seen that, I definitely recommend checking it out. I've linked that video in the description below. Earth heroes offer the two most common tanks in the ranks, and that's Gladiator and Leafblade. Despite Leafblade being the generally considered better of the pair, they're both very solid frontline tanks and should be runed differently, meaning most players should have both in their rosters until they move up to the S-rank tanks. Neither of these heroes should be ran without Spark in most cases, due to their vulnerability to fire DPS heroes. And next up at this rank, we have Thorn. Thorn is another hero who is a permanent spot on my arena team most weeks. Her AoE spreads enemy Vlad healing out, and she offers solid damage with poison teams. She brings a lot to the table, but it is hard to get her medals and it is expensive to rune her. For fire heroes, we have Alda, the other Critster, and the reason why she is here and not her sister is due to her DPS potential. Not even counting the earth heavy tank meta, Alda brings a lot of DPS to the table in and of herself, while also buffing the DPS of your other heroes and finds herself at home in most general team compositions. And next up we have the king of crowd control by many accounts, Monkey King. He was featured in our most recent Heroes Magnified video, and if you'd like to know more about him, I'd recommend checking that out. Spark is another fire archer of the same caliber of Alda. Less DPS though, he finds higher usage rates due to helping your earth tanks survive enemy fire DPS much easier, coupled with his own decent DPS, and he is firmly finding himself among the A ranks. Now for light, we have Monkey Rabati first, and he's technically the best hero in the game for DPS against Ornok, but it's hard to keep him alive due to his brawler status, and until like last week, his medals were time gated behind the slot tokens, making him very hard to max. I've maxed him before, but opted to pacify him in favor of heroes offering better consistency. When built correctly, he can offer a good counter to the dark heavy meta. Next up, Light offers the strongest light tank in the game, Paladin. He doubles up as finding himself as a good option for usage with Frost Queen Freeze Bomb teams, and he's anti-Trickster, while also offering some healing. Being a Blitz hero means he sees some reduced usage, but overall, a solid hero with a lot of variety to bring to the table. And finally for Light we have Seraph. Only fitting that she takes up the spot between Light and Dark, as she inflicts either dark or light damage as appropriate. She works within the same tangent as Tesla and Monkey Rabati, though she is much easier to keep alive, much easier to rune, and much easier to achieve medals for given her Crusher status. A great hero in her own right, and one I plan to run more frequently in the future. I do like that she also works really well against Kasume and Kage, while being able to avoid both of their attacks. That adds value to me when I consider her viability. Now Dark Heroes for the A rank has the staple that most teams should see, Dark Hunter. Dark Hunter is likely the easiest rare hero to max in the game, and one of the best. He is used universally in most modes, and offers a great debuff ability in addition to solid DPS. You'll never go wrong investing into him. Kage is a Kasai alternative, and offers squishier enemies. Mr. Moogle has explained Kage's 4-star ability as being the equivalent of a DPS buff to your team, which makes understanding his ability easier. I've seen some strong ones, and they're often seen during male arena weeks. His single target DPS and debuff ability are where I see strong value in him. Onyx is another cool hero, truly offering a global DPS buff. She is used as a smasher, often seen during female arena weeks. Her AoE, damage, and buff attack is where she secures her spot here. And there we have it, folks. That's how I'd rank the heroes I consider to be the top PvP heroes and crush them all at this time. I'm joking, I know. S-ranked heroes matter too. So here they are. The best of the best heroes on my list. The water hero in the S rankings today, we're going to start with Manta. And while she does offer great synergy with Frost Queen, it isn't necessary to run both together. Otherwise, she's an expensive water DPS hero to build, and you would need about 96,000 flues just to utilize her effectively, and that's not even counting flues for runes. With such a high flues requirement, it definitely requires consideration before investing into this hero. That said, I'll repeat that she does not require a maxed Frost Queen to be ran effectively. However, those abilities and a solid AoE DPS make her a force to be reckoned with when built correctly. Her abilities are fun and will be covered in an upcoming Heroes Magnified video, so stay tuned for that in the near future. Next up with What Are Heroes, we'll have a look at Namada. She has been featured as a Heroes Magnified hero already, and honestly, she is such a solid hero. I recommend her as second for Flu's priority spending after Vlad. She offers great synergy for many teams in her slowdown, debuff, unique attacks, and general DPS. She is a solid S-level hero, and one you wouldn't be wrong for investing into. First up for Fire, we have Scud. As an epic hero, it can be difficult to max him, but well worth the effort. I'd consider him the best DPS hero in the game. TNT and Torch stats and specific builds aside, Scud is as good as it gets, honestly. Fire AoE Gunner, while also offering a global attack buff, he should find a spot on most teams without issue. The other Fire S-ranked hero is Shelly. She is arguably the best tank in the game after Ornok, as she offers, in general, the best survivability between her stats and assorted abilities. Her abilities debuff enemy critical damage, helping all of your heroes survive better, while also popping shields to help her survive better. I've grown very impressed with my own Shelly as I've spent more time using her. Wrapping up the S-ranked heroes, we have the 4 dark and arguably best heroes in the game at this time. First up we have Kasume. Kasume offers the attack speed debuff ability, and a well-runed Kasume, affectionately called Tank Sumi within the community, can cause mayhem among enemy backline heroes as she disperses herself amongst their ranks. Next we have Ornok. Legendary heroes are no joke, and Ornok is the king when it comes to tanking bar none. His base stats are on a completely different level, and his buff improves himself, while his abilities blast enemies off of him. He is truly a force to be reckoned with. Trickster is next up and is one of the most important DPS dual crowd control heroes that exists in this game. He offers a slew of crowd control and then backs that up with impressive DPS. Finally, we have Vlad. Dual-purpose heroes seem to be the trend, and Vlad's debuff and healing secures him a solid spot in S-rank. A lot of players have a maxed Vlad, and with good reason. He's solid in many ways, and a hero you won't regret. As I wrap up today's video, for real, I'd like to give another thanks to Medivh for making the thumbnails for the videos on this channel for so long. He's stepping back from doing these thumbnails, and we're sad to see him go. With his departure, we will be needing a new graphic artist to join the team and help out in making thumbnails. If this is something you'd be interested in helping out with, please reach out to me. I'd like to thank several Discord users who helped contribute to the content covered today. Namely, I would like to thank RSDie, Longest Yaboy, Mr. Moogle, Flocky, and Kahuna. I'd also like to thank users such as yourself who watch my videos and encourage me to continue making content. Your contributions are more appreciated than you know. If you'd like to support this channel in other ways, there are several things you can do. Comments, likes, and subscribing are great ways to show your support. You can also show your support financially by contributing to my Patreon. The link to becoming a patron of this YouTube channel is in the description below this video as well. That's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you watching this video through to the very end. Thanks for watching.